Hello everybody, welcome back to this series of videos on Kyrgyzstan, a state in Central Asia. And yeah, so the last video I finished up by kind of talking about this interim president, Rosa Bakiyev. I had to check her name out again there, but yeah, she filled in for the Bakiyev president who was re-elected in 2009, and this was after the people accused him of not living up to his promises. The people of Kyrgyzstan actually wanted Bakiyev. They wanted him out like a year after he got elected. In 2007, they were having protests and riots 2 years after he was elected in 2005. And because the people were realizing that they were just getting one puppet after another, right? From the 90s, right after the fall of communism, I hate that fucking phrase, but after 89, after the Soviet Union, and then the 91, they were officially disbanded. This was a former territory of the Soviet Union. Kyrgyzstan was, along with the other their neighbor countries, and they were kind of sucked up into that economy, and they had their own little markets going. And so when they wanted to detach themselves and become their own little nation again, they kind of took a dip in their job market and all that. And well, they got this this new president, Bakiyev, and sorry if I mispronounce these names, but I'm learning myself about this whole area of the world and their culture and that, so just bear with me as far as that goes. But yeah, so in 91, when they get their independence, the Bakiyev, he gets elected, and he's there all the way till 2005. 14 years the guy was there, and it was nothing but corruption, and the people didn't want him there, and Kyrgyzstan got sucked into the UN, into the World Trade Organization. They were getting backed by the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and so this country is being kind of, like I said, it's kind of being grabbed by the Russians, and it's being grabbed by the Chinese a little bit, but not as much, and a lot by the West, by the Western establishment. And they contribute this flag and those colors and all that, the 40 rings for the 40 tribes. I guess someone called Manas. It's a big deal over there. But just the colors and the symbology to me look kind of luminous with the whole sun, and then they got the well, it's a pyramid, and then the upside down pyramid, or the oblong square, or the diamond, whatever you prefer. But you can see there's 4 of them in there, and there it goes right there. And then they got the cross, kind of the as is above is below. They got that in there, and of course, like a sun disk within the sun. So, and then it's all red. So it seems kind of westerny, but it also, with the red, they contribute that towards the Turks, because most of the people from Kyrgyzstan are originally, I guess, considered Turks that were nomads. And that's what I've learned so far. But yeah, let's move on to some. But I just wanted to throw this out there real quick. The flags are not too important, but they're kind of important because you can look, when you look and do your own research into these countries that are usually in between the big boys, the big powers who are fighting over over economies and resources and a stock of slaves. They always put their little stamp, the little like a farmer puts on his cattle, a little they sear it, whatever, or just a mark of who their owner is. And so the flag always has some kind of Illuminati, occultic type symbology on there that they give these people. And so let's check out who the Kyrgyz are, because you keep hearing about this on the news about 400,000 people are emigrating out of Kyrgyzstan, and that the Uzbeks, or these Pakistanis, whatever you want to call them, the Uzbeks, are being targeted by ethnic Kyrgyz. So let's, I figure it's good to just educate yourself on this stuff. I'm doing most of the work here because I've done all this research today and I spent hours on it. And so I'll just kind of go blast through some of this. I'm not going to read it all. So just bear with me, and you might learn a little bit about this. So when you read on the news, you get the bigger picture, right? And so it says here that the Kyrgyz were dominated by the Persians, which were the Iranians, and the Turks. It says that, and as far as their language goes, right now they speak a lot of Russian. The biggest two languages in Kyrgyzstan are Russian, because that was who they were dominated by for the most part, and then Kyrgyz. And it says the earliest notable residents of what is now Kyrgyzstan were warrior tribes of Saka, also called the Scythians, from about 500 to 400 BC. And he said that the Sakan speakers were gradually conquered and cultured by the Turkic expansion to Central Asia. So the Turks expanded into the Central Asia around the 4th century, and said the only remnants of the Sakan language come from China, and said the language there is widely divergent from the rest of Iranian. And it's important to note here that when the Arab invaders, as they call them, or the Persians, I guess, and if I'm wrong, just someone correct me on that, they also introduced Islam. So, and that's the same things that keep popping up. You always have governments and religion, and those are the two biggest control mechanisms that are used by these controlling elites to control people. It's the most effective way is religion and government. So, and that makes sense as to why they're in the predicament that they're in. These people they're sitting there fighting each other, and it's called ethnic tension, and the Kyrgyz are going after the Uzbeks. And they don't understand that if they just quit worried about religion, or quit worried about government, and keep voting these puppet presidents in there, whether they're pro-Russian or pro-Anglo-Saxon, you're still going to get the same result, which is corruption, which is going to be not that many jobs. They're sending out all their jobs. They're giving monopolies for the resources to friends and buddies. I mean, just typical mafia government type stuff. And then you move down here and you see that that in the 12th century the Kyrgyz domination had shrunk, and it says as a result of the Mongol expansion. So with the rise of the Mongol Empire in the 13th century, the Kyrgyz migrated south. Kyrgyz were conquered by Genghis Khan in 1207. It says Chinese and Muslim sources of the 12th centuries AD described the early Kyrgyz as red hair with white skin and blue eyes, features that were interpreted as suggestive of Slavic origins. So that's interesting. And then check this out, because it really does explain why there is ethnic tension. It says, because of the processes of migration, conquest, intermarriage, assimilation, many of the Kyrgyz peoples that now inhabit Central and Southwest Asia are of mixed origins, often stemming from fragments of many different tribes, though they speak closely related language. And then you go to this part right here, and it says, it is not possible to unambiguously state the oldest mention of Kyrgyz ethnicity. After the disintegration of the Soviet Union, gradually there appeared an interest in the history of independent Kyrgyzstan, stemming from the search for new roots and identity. This is the same phenomenon that occurred in Europe in the 19th century, during which there was a revival of nationality or nationalism, and a desire to prove to the world the exceptionality of each nation. And so what is that? What are they saying? They're saying that basically after countries get dominated and occupied by the same empires, right, over and over again, and they get a little bit of freedom, they want to try to figure out who they are, what their history is, and they want to be proud of it, and they want to have some kind of unity for once, right? But it's all about divide and conquer. Instead of the people taking to the streets and often the heads of the political leaders, they go after each other over religion and over stupid ethnicity. That's the control mechanisms. Join me in the next video. Thank you.